So I've dismantled the movements for this clock, and before I clean them I'm going to inspect the springs and see if they need to be replaced. Let's get them out. And the way that I do that is to smite them smartly on an anvil with a little leather pad to protect it. And there we are. That's the arbor out, and the spring is ready to come up. Now that one, the arbor has become dislodged, which is a bit of a complication because I've got to make sure it's going to catch on it properly. It's come off the eye in the centre there. Could be a problem later. That's not in properly. This spring is bollocks. This is not a right spring. Look at the distance between the spring and the lip. Definitely needs a new spring. So how this one worked, I have no idea, because this arbor is not going to catch on the eye there, because the eye there is too low for this. Ridiculous. Okay, so that means that this spring is not going to be used again, and I will have to get a new one, because I'm not going to have a clock that is going to be that way. I may actually have one in hand, but quite a good spring. Let's see what it looks like when it's out. Well, that's the time spring, but check it on the barrel is 30 mil, so this should be, when it's in the relaxed state like that, 30 times 2.5, or twice is 60 plus 15, 75. So that should be minimum of 75. But in theory that should be alright because it's 90. But that's that's not going to be the case. So I would assume that some factors of it are right, and see if I've got a spring or something that can do. Let's have a look at the other one first. I'm not sure what to do. No, this one is tickety-boo. Well, that came off properly. And this, there, you can see that that is as it should be. So I'll pause that for a while while I get sorted out. Well, I've had a look at the springs now. The two barrels are exactly the same. I've checked the height, one against the other, so you can see they are the same. This spring was at 16 3/4, 16.75. And I think it should be about 21 millimeters wide. So we'll check on this one. I'll take this out. This one was pretty, you can see it, it's pretty, well, looks pretty tired. I don't know how it's going to turn out. Let's see. Right. Good. Good. Got to make sure there's enough tail there. I think there will be. That to be able to hook on. Well, I managed that by reducing the length of the tail, but it hasn't left me a great deal there, and sometimes when it slips inside then you have no hope of return. Anyway, there we are. So now I must try and get this to clean it. It looks pretty iffy. because look at that tail there. The spring has broken. There you are. So that spring has definitely had it. So we've got to have 2 new springs, and I'm going to take this one out now so that I can get the measurements of what it should be and then get a renewed spring. If that were to break now, it would fly. So that's why I wear gloves and goggles. Ah. So that's a disappointment. So this spring, which we'll take as gospel, in a 30mm barrel, should be a minimum of 75 mil, and it is 69.75, 70. I mean, it's knackered. Anyway, it had to be replaced because you can see that that's torn. I could perhaps cut it, but you can see that the centre one is pretty tired as well. So next thing is just to take some measurements, so that, because I think this is the original spring, so this is 21.56, 21.3, so 21 will do for that. And with this 3.5. So that's my next thing. I will order those from Cousins. They'll be here and then before the end of the week with a bit of luck. Meanwhile, I'll get cleaning on that lot and get that presented. So that was a busted flush, as they say. Right, as I said, we had the strike and the time springs. This is the time spring, which is too small, too narrow. And this is the strike spring, which was pretty hopeless. Look at the size of it compared to this one. It's exhausting. So I have been in touch with the suppliers, and I've got new springs, which we're now going to inspect, and I hope they're the right size. And if they are, we'll get to over the course of this video and put them in. Here's the day. It's 21, 30, 30. That the width is 21. The thickness is 0.30 and the diameter of the drum is 30 millimeters. And so that's what we've got there. And take it out. Spring, right, quite easy to open. I wear gloves just simply because if you've got a bigger spring and you're dealing with a chiming clock and the chiming spring has got a lot of power, these you can manage quite easily. You, I think, cut them. Usually best to use two hands, but one hand is usually quite sufficient. Now you'll see the difference between a spring with plenty of life in it and a spring which is completely knackered. So this is the one we have. Now I've got to clean it, and the way that I'm going to do that is to put the arbor in. And run it on the see the hook. You've got to make sure that you get the hook in the right place, otherwise you will spoil the spring, and it's not easily done. I think I've got that. You can just see the eye of the hook, I hope, in there. Yep, there's the arbor hook, and it's got to go into the spring about where it is. And what you've got to do is turn it round, making sure it's central, and turn it round. It's not caught in it yet. It's got to be caught in. If you, I can see it now, and the hook is about here and the spring ends about here, so I've got to turn that round till it gets it's difficult to know whether you've got it. If it's not in, then it'll suddenly break loose while you're winding, and it then tends to splay the centre, so the hook is not so good as it should be. So you think I'm taking a lot of time on this, but it's happened to me so many times that I think that's it. quite important that it is. Okay, well, I saw somebody do this on the internet. It seemed like quite a good idea to me at the time. You roll it out on the arbor here, and it's holding it steady, but at the same time it's not unlikely to break out. Now I've got to wipe off the factory grease. I will soak in white spirit. And just clean the spring off. I'll disappear. Right. Peel paper. Good. Now, to get it back in the barrel. That's the right one. I hope this is on. I've yet to lubricate it. It can be done afterwards, but it's much better to do it now. I use this stuff. It's wonderful. It's got Telfon in it, and it you can feel the spring smoothly running inside. I don't think I'm wrong in using this stuff. I think it's been around 100 years ago they would have used it. Instead they used other grease, probably animal fat, which just goes hard and scrunchy. This, if it dries out, it still leaves a coating of Teflon, isn't it? Turn it there. And I'll put a little more in afterwards. Now you'll see if I've got it right. Okay. In the arbor. See, it's squeezing the lubricant out. I think I've got enough of that yet to get this in, I think. One or two more. I don't like doing it as tight as that. Yeah, that's what happened. Reason for that was probably I didn't have that iron. I'll have to try again, but I can't use a bigger one. It won't fit into the drum. It's got to go in there. So, try again. See, now you can see that eye there is so much wider. Bad news. the only barrel I can use. Still not going over. That's it. Right, now I've got it in. Now I've got to do two things. Make sure I've got enough tail left to be able to hook onto the barrel, and make sure that this side, from the far side, is level, because that's got to go tuck into the base of the barrel. So I'll pull that round a bit more, and I just hope everything works. I think that should be it. Okay, so now let's hope I can get that into the barrel. Right, now the start of the barrel is about there, so that should just slide in without too much trouble. That's it. Now with a bit of luck, when I twist it, it'll catch on that. So, twist it round. Doesn't seem to want to catch. That's it. Good. Okay, now I hope that we can catch the string on this. Should do. We'll see. Tighten this up. Now we remove the barrel, make sure that's in tight, and release the spring. Good, that looks okay. That looks okay. So it's not quite a piece of cake, but it has worked out. Right, take that off. And we've got another one to do. Put the cap on. hope that's right. Good. So one happy bunny. So that's the first one. Now, I'm not going to bore you with the second one. I'm sure it'll go just as badly, but there we are.